Welcome, everybody. It's Mark Schulz. I'm glad to have you with us here today when we talk about the defense industry. And I have special guests with us today, David Clark and Manoj Singh. And we're going to be talking about special things like supply chain, aircraft readiness, and how we can optimize and have a more efficient defense force. Thanks for joining us today. David, welcome. Glad you're with us today. Who are you and what do you do?
Hey, thanks, Mark. My name is David Clark. I am president and CEO of AMFIL Aviation Consulting here in Florida.
Hey, welcome, Manoj. He's here with us from Ramco. Manoj, tell our viewers here today who you are and what do you do at Ramco?
Like you said, Mark, my name is Manoj Singh, and I live here in the great state of Texas in Dallas, and I manage the global aerospace, aviation, and defense business of Ramco Systems.
Gentlemen, thanks for joining today. I'm really excited about having this conversation. You know, there's really a big demand out there today for solutions to be able to optimize aviation aerospace. Now, I understand today we're going to be talking specifically about the defense industry. And David, I want to jump in to you and ask you a question is that, how are you involved in defense? What's your background? Tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Certainly, Mark. Well, I am a retired P-3 flight engineer from the U.S. Navy. Spent a lot of my time flying and searching for our good old friends, the Soviets and their submarines. But a large part of my responsibility was also tied into maintenance and logistics, ensuring that our aircraft hit mission readiness levels so that we can meet the important missions of the United States government as well as the U.S. Navy. So a lot of moving parts and pieces in a squadron with normally 9 aircraft and up to 400 people.
Well, first of all, you said you were in the service for 21 years. Thank you very much. I appreciate your service. And next of all, Manoj, I understand that you have been working with a lot of different defense customers, over your career as well. So the word readiness just came up. Is that if I were to ask you what is meant by the word readiness, what does that mean?
Well, the mission readiness, essentially, that's what it translates into. And it all boils down to when and the timing is right, when you need to fly the aircraft for a particular mission, you need to have all your parts and aircraft available at the moment's notice to be able to fly with the right configuration, with the right parts available. That's what the mission readiness is all about.
Okay. And I suppose from a commercial perspective, if people were talking about it, they're talking about dispatch or, putting
aircraft availability.
Yeah, right. And David, let me ask you a question is that, from your years of experience in the Navy, how important is this subject of readiness?
It's actually critical to the mission and to the success of what the Navy as a whole can do. And this is not just in the aerospace world, but shipboard, land forces, everything that they do is all mission critical, and it's all based on readiness. Readiness has a lot of facets, but a huge part of that is the logistics and supply chain piece, which traditionally has failed for many, many years. There's got to be a better way of doing this and keeping that readiness as high as possible to meet the mission.
Is that, how do we improve readiness to ensure, that all aircraft and all vehicles are prepared and ready to go at all times? If we focused in on the P3, for example, that you were involved in, is that what's one of the key factors that affects the ability to be ready?
I would say one of the key factors is just a lack of available parts and understanding what's going on in the supply chain to track what's going on with your request. Critical part of that is, as an aging aircraft fleet, the P3 has high maintenance demands. And to get a better understanding of that, it would be such a better world if there was a program or artificial intelligence that could avail or be availed to the Navy to help them track what's going on, as well as forecast their needs in a better fashion. This would increase the readiness, in my opinion.
Okay, so within that whole scope of that topic of logistics, I guess, to be able to provide optimized supply chain, Manoj, let me ask you this: is that what is really meant by logistics in the terms of supporting airplanes? What is the scope of that really?
Yeah, so let me actually answer a small part of a previous question, and it ties back to the logistics. I think a very important aspect of mission readiness is visibility. It has multiple, of course, aspects to it. Visibility into your aircraft availability itself, right? How available, airworthy the aircraft is at a moment's notice. That's the starting point. And then, of course, in case it is not ready for a reason, what is that reason? And reason, if it is maintenance requirement of the aircraft or some parts availability or the lack thereof. Then the next question comes, okay, so if the part is required, where is it available in the whole ecosystem of supply chain? So that's the visibility that is critical to making your mission readiness as high as possible, right? And that ties back to the logistics question that you asked, right? And which is being able to first forecast the demand for those parts. And of course, that all the way starts from the mission readiness, but translating that into the need for the parts, the forecasting at various nodes in your supply chain, and then being able to determine based on the previous consumptions and what's coming out into the future from the mission requirements perspective, what is the optimal stocking locations and positions of those parts should be. To me, that's what logistics is all about in the context of mission readiness.